Hi, my name's Darren, and I play music off my computer sometimes. I also play karaoke off my computer sometimes, and I'm a pretty computer literate guy. I've been hoping to add a digital mixer to my Windows XP computer for quite some time now, and I'm trying out audio interfaces like this Tascam model US-366, which actually has more inputs than I need. But there are a number of other features I was hoping to get out of this unit that some were there and some were not. Let's do what I do. Now, this is the first one of these I've ever shot, and I am shooting it with my telephone's camera. So it's going to be crap. But who knows? I'll figure out how to do these better in the future. But this is the first one. Now, as you can see, this is my DJ software. A lot of people like different kinds of DJ software, and that's why there are so many different kinds of DJ software out there. I'm a Windows DJ, so I have to use Windows-based software. Not one of these hardcore Mac guys. So, a digital on-screen mixer is provided through the use of one of these little, basically outboard sound cards. But the beauty of the current models are that a number of them have built-in DSPs, meaning that they can give you reverb effects and compression and a number of the other things that that are premiums, and they're all built in, and they all run on a computer inside that box and don't put any strain on your computer in order to get the job done. So this is an inexpensive one. It's just over $200. We'll be looking also at the PreSonus AudioBox 22 VSL in a different video. But this, I've actually already had the PreSonus. I took it back in order to try out this Tascam and see which one was better. The PreSonus did a really good job and only had a couple of drawbacks that I have tried to remedy by checking out this Tascam audio box. Now, I've been showing you a screenshot of the mixer software that's provided. This one here, I want to connect two microphones in my plan. So this one provides for that and more. In fact, it has more inputs and outputs than I actually need. And there is a little brother to it that looks almost identical with less inputs and outputs. But I got this one because it's almost the exact same price as the PreSonus model and has more features. Now let me say right now that it's supposed to be an aluminum case. It's been said on the internet in a few places. That's not my opinion of the case. It seems like plastic to me. So you be the judge. It doesn't seem like aluminum to me. By the way, I'm a metal fabricator by trade, so take that with a grain of salt. And the knobs themselves are, of course, they're very plasticky. They're not metal. They feel very light, and they have a little bit of jiggle in their little spots. Makes you feel as though they're, not as sturdy as they could be. If you know anything about mixing boards, physical ones, if you pull the knobs off your mixing board and underneath the knob you find a nut screwing that potentiometer to the top of the mixing board, that's a good quality mixing board. Soundcraft and Allen and Heath and stuff like that. But if you pull the knob off and there's just the shaft going into the physical case, i.e. Yorkville and stuff like that, Behringer, it's not as good. It doesn't mean it isn't good. It's just not as sturdy. It's less roadworthy. And this one here feels a lot less roadworthy than the PreSonus I had earlier today, when I wasn't thinking about making a video, but now I am. So, going back to the actual interface that a person will use. My concern was that here on the mains, right here, there we go, that's the mains. Even though the mains are left and right output, there's no way to split the output and have just a volume control for the left and for the right. And that, pardon, that's a problem for me because of the way I used to set up my equipment when I went into a venue. I like to have control separately of those two channels because actually one of them I used to run the subwoofer. And now I can dial in the volume on the subwoofer at the back of the subwoofer, but it doesn't give me kind of a remote control over that function, so that's a step back in my opinion. And I would love to see two sliders that could be linked, just the same way this one here for the computer is actually linked. It could be unlinked. If you want to run it as two separate channels, you just hit the button. It becomes two separate channels. Very nice. You know, computers will do that for you. But as you can see, this one's showing the two digital channels, 1 and 2, two analog channels. There's room for two more analog inputs if that's the way you select the switches at the bottom of this. And then there's the returns from the computer tied together, linked as they say, right there in the middle. And then above here, what effects you've got involved and which dynamic effects that are provided by the DSP are also available and involved. And right now you can see the word EQ or the letters EQ that are there. The EQ is on and functioning. Also in the send effects, the reverb is in and functioning. You can see that there's actually to the left a send for the effects unit and on the right a return. Unfortunately, and this has been the case for the PreSonus and this unit again, the return returns equally to both of the output channels and is not selectable. You can't return just to the left or just to the right. It comes back as a stereo return that you can't pan. And you can't patch it into an open channel on your board either, as far as I know. There's no patching, there's no virtual patch bay or anything like that. Now, this is a very colorful, very nice mixer, and if it didn't have a couple of shortcomings, you know what, with the, as I say, the output not having a left and a right, and this computer link, the way it brings two channels together looks quite cool, but it's actually done better, I think, in the PreSonus. Now above there, there's the thing marked post. That's right here, post. Now it's in purple, and it's pretty much has to do with your send into your effects unit. The PreSonus mixer has two sends, two effects units, and you can have different or same. They're very flexible. You can put different effects into each of the effects units, and delays and reverbs are provided. So it actually has two delay buses, whereas every one of these that I've seen so far only has one. That being said, one of the major fallbacks of this unit is this dynamics effects processor. When you click through here, you go through the different features that are there. The compressor, very important, I think. The noise suppressor, okay. The de-esser, very nice to have a de-esser, very cool. An exciter, don't know what that's for. And of course everybody knows what an EQ is for. Now as we went through these, you might have heard, but possibly not, because I've got music playing in the background. That's real music, so hopefully you're not hearing that too much, but it's playing. As we went through these, they turned on. And whatever one you select is on. Like, that's turned on. The exciter, changes the sound of the music, the de-esser, again, the noise suppressor, which is kind of like a gate, I guess, and the compressor, which the noise suppressor should have been part of the compressor as far as I'm concerned, because it's a gate. When we switch over to the effects setup page, where you dial in the parameters for your compressor, your noise suppressor, your de-esser, your exciter, and your EQ, not to mention your reverb over here, which is a different thing altogether we'll get to in a minute. You get pretty excited because these things are actually very well presented. I like the way they look compared to the PreSonus. I can see, like, on the PreSonus, the gain, you can turn it up, you can turn it down, but as far as how many dB gain, hard to tell. Here, it's right there. Same with the frequency, right there. Q. The PreSonus has a Q, but you don't know what the value of it is. And in this case, all the values for your EQ setup are provided, which is nice. Now here's the bad part. If you turn on the EQ, okay, then the exciter is off, the de-esser is off, the noise suppressor is off, and the compressor is off. Now I'm going to just pop down here and turn on the compressor because everybody wants to use compression on so many things. Let's go back to our EQ. Uh-oh, EQ's off. Well, I've turned on my compressor. I don't want to go without an EQ. I have to do a little tweaking. So we'll turn the EQ on, right? And we'll just check our compressor. It's off. Compressor's off. In other words, the DSP can only handle one thing being on for this channel. You got to choose between EQ and compression, noise suppression, de-essing, or exciting. That's no good. No good at all. Okay? The other thing here, the effects are there. They sound okay. But it's not like you've got a delay and a reverb to play with. These are your settings, these 5. There's no plugins that you can put in here as far as I know. It doesn't support third-party stuff or anything like that. And I believe the PreSonus unit would allow even a third-party plugin. Some things you can even get for free off the good old internet. So this is a fail for for this part of this anyway. So going back to the very first tab, if you were wondering, just a setup tab, very simple. There's a little more settings in this one than on the PreSonus 2, but it's irrelevant. Switching into here, the dynamic effects we've seen. If you click on the reverb here, it turns it on and off. Yay. But there's no reverb, and then below here, delay, and below here, chorus, or anything like that. It's just this one little thing here, reverb, either on or off. And even the master channel over here, right there, I'm turning it on and off, and it shows this neat little route back into the dynamics effects processor. And I believe it is independent. That is, I believe, I'll check now. Yeah, see, its equalizer is on, its reverb is on. And if I go back here and look at the one from, say, this one, analog 1, and switch it to here. Oh, equalizer, reverb on. Now if I turn them off here, does that turn them off there? Good question. Let's find out. Alright, we're back over here. And switch it. Yeah, they're off. Look at that. Okay, so major fail. Alright. Now, today is Monday, Tuesday morning, in fact. Just Monday night, Tuesday morning. And I just dated this video. Well, you don't know what week it is. I won't tell you which month. But I think we've got to pack this thing up and bring it back to good old Long MrQuade. They're very good there. I tried, as I say, the PreSonus to begin with. And I think what we're going to do is, we have a gig on Wednesday. I'm not sure we really even want to bring this one out to the gig. I don't think spending any time with it is going to be fruitful. So perhaps I'll make it to Long MrQuade before the closing tomorrow and either come home with the PreSonus or possibly try a brand new piece of equipment, the Steinberg UR28M, which is more machine than I need, and nearly twice the money, but very interesting. And mostly for me, one thing that's important that I like is the big knob for volume. And the PreSonus just doesn't have that. And that's something that is on the Steinberg UR28M, I believe it's called. So look forward to that. If I get one in my hands, I'll let you know all about it. But this one, as far as inputs and outputs, it's got more inputs and outputs than the PreSonus. So if it's about channels for you, especially if those channels are digital, it's got lots of digital in and out. It's got a lot of neat setups. Like if I go to the bottom of it, like just right here, you can see that on the bottom there are some switches. Now watch. I throw one of these switches and boom, the whole interface changes for what I've set differently here at the bottom. Same thing with the middle one. I switch that one and again, something different for you. And over here, switch that, and once again. So this thing configures in a number of different ways depending on what your needs are, and is probably, again, the more flexible of the two. But for what I'm looking for, what I want, this one's not going to cut it. I would rather have two independent effects buses with independent effects processors on them. And when you see how the effects sends work, and another few things about the PreSonus, you'll see where that one's currently the leader in my eyes. Anyways, my little counter says 16 minutes 45 seconds, so before 17 comes up, I'm Darren, I'm a geek, I know all about this stuff. Just come to my channel, and everything that I figure out, I'll explain to you, and together we'll learn. Night all.